According to research from the Pew Research Center, more than half of American daters, 67%, report that finding love has become increasingly difficult over the past decade and that their love life isn't going well at all. Well, if you find yourself in this predicament, then Donna Meador is someone you ought to keep on speed dial. She's a dating coach and author who wrote a book entitled Dating It's Not Personal. And she also believes in order to have a successful at bat at dating, you have to set your own rules. This energetic and spontaneous connector of love. Join me this week to give me the tools of the trade on how we can all get back into the dating game successfully. I'm Kevin McShane. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. Donna, welcome to the show, and I'm excited to talk to you about dating. So great to see you, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, such a pleasure, such a pleasure.
So, Donna, you tell people, first and foremost, that they can set the rules to dating if they're looking for love in all the wrong places. So can you expand on that for me?
Yeah, when I was in my early to mid 40s, Kevin, I went out dating and I was in for a shocker because I had recovered from chronic fatigue. So I was sort of out of the workforce. I was out of the socializing force for quite a few years. And I thought, well, how hard could it be to go out and date? And when you're that age, you're no longer in high school, you're no longer in college. It's a whole different where you have to actually go places to meet single people who are looking to date. And so now it becomes this sifting and the sorting and trying to figure out so much in a very short time. Because if you're at a singles dance back then there were single dances, there were social events. How do you have a conversation with somebody in 5 minutes? How do you know if you're on the same page? Are you afflicted with the Cinderella complex, thinking that Mr. Wonderful is going to walk through the door and fall to his knees and say, oh my God, where have you been my whole life? I mean, we have this sort of scenario going on in our head from the time that we're young. And so I started to realize that it wasn't just me. Most people didn't know what they were doing, right? We were out there, we were trying to figure it out. And then I started to discover that there's etiquette, the do's and don'ts, and what does that look like? And so I read all the books. I read the rules. I read He's Just Not That Into You, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I started reading the books, and then I would go out and put it into practice. I would literally go to a single dance so I could practice what I just read. I mean, I studied dating like most people go to college and study their major. It was a major for me, Kevin. So I went out there and I started realizing that there are rules. They're sort of unwritten. And the quicker you understand what the rules are, the quicker you find out if you're on the same page, if you're going in the same direction, if you want the same things. And so it became sort of like I was on a mission. I was on a mission. And as a result of going out there and being very deliberate about my thought process, talking to other women and men at these dances and so forth, the one thing I came upon almost unanimously was that the bottom line was nobody wanted to be alone. And now we then face, well, okay, if you don't want to be alone, but you don't want to just be with anybody, you want to be with somebody you're on the same page with. you want to go out and enjoy the dating process. And this was the biggest obstacle. People were not having fun. They kept telling me I'm meeting the wrong guys. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So I'm never a victim, Kevin. I know that you aren't either. And so if we want to not be the victim, we've got to figure out how to understand the path that we're on and how we can take responsibility for what we're attracting into our life, or how we are processing it. And so I ended up writing my own book about dating, and it became a worker's guide. It became a blueprint for a lot of people. It's been an amazing journey, Kevin.
And tell me about the book. I know that you wrote it specifically for women, and you said it's dating and it's not personal. So what lessons are you hoping to teach through the book?
Good question, Kevin. We take so many things personally in life. We don't get hired at a job. Somebody doesn't buy something we're selling. And the first year, if I was to be brutally honest with myself, probably the first year and a half when I went out dating the first time, it was painful. There was a lot of disappointment. There was a lot of misunderstandings. I didn't know when a guy said to me, I'll call you later, that could really mean after football season. Like I thought later meant, that night. And so I started to get a little obsessed with the whole, interpretation of what was going on. And, the bottom line is, Kevin, we all come from a different experience. I don't know what you know. You don't know what I know. And so as we come together and we have these conversations, and no different than going on a date, we start to realize that maybe we're not on the same page. Maybe you're looking for a permanent relationship and I'm not. And so I start to realize it wasn't personal. And I actually, when that light bulb went on, I was actually on a date with a guy who I really thought was cool. And we connected on almost like this very friendly, fun level. And, then we never spoke again. But at dinner, I was saying to him that, so many people take dating personally. He's like, I know, I don't understand that. And we had a fabulous time. We probably spent 3 or 4 hours together. We went to dinner. We walked around the city. I was from New York at the time. And you know what? Then we never spoke again. And it was okay. Like, it was okay. It wasn't personal. And another big aha moment for me was one time, only once, I got stood up. There were plans. They're going to call, they're going to meet me, blah, blah, blah. We had everything set for a certain time on a certain day. And he was a no-show. And while I was going through my emotions of disparity, right? Because that was a horrible feeling. The truth of the matter was, he didn't know me. It couldn't be personal. It was impossible for that to be personal. Whatever went on in his world that he didn't show up, it wasn't personal. He didn't know me well enough to make it personal.
And you also said that success in life rises out of adversity. So can you tell me how you arrived at that motto and why you live life that way?
I look at people like you, Kevin. I mean, we have adversity in our life, and yet we reach for more. We don't allow that to be an obstacle. And it's interesting. I was a Girl Scout till I was a senior in high school, so I was always about helping people. And I went through my dating experiences when I was early to mid 40s. I met my husband at the time. I was 47. I got married to him at 50. It was a dream come true. I started writing the book before I met him, and I tell people I stopped the research when I met him. And so I finished writing the book, didn't publish it till 2014. And my husband passed away in 2016. And the journey of understanding the value in relationships of any kind was always paramount for me. And so the book got published, and it's dedicated to Peter. And it's actually our love story about how we courted him when we met. And when he passed away, obviously that was an extremely painful scenario to be in, but I also understood that there was this path unfolding in front of me that I was going to walk. And it was a path of helping other women, mainly middle-aged, and that can be anywhere from 35 to 75, or really, whatever that means to somebody, to understand their value, their self-worth, and that loving is one of the greatest gifts God gave us. And so whatever obstacles in somebody's way about loving, and the dating to a lot of people is like techie stuff to me. What stopped me from doing my dating webinar that's going to launch on November 18th? Now, I've been talking about relationships and datings for the last 20 years, okay? But it didn't come to fruition till now because I kept hitting the obstacle of technical things that I had to deal with that was not my forte. And so in dating world, a lot of, and I'll speak to women, men too, but mostly women, they don't want to go out and date. They don't want to deal with the drama of dating. They don't know how to sift and sort. They don't know how to know if somebody's on the same page. They don't know if they're being scammed. And so I realized that through my husband departing, launched me into an area of my life I would have never gone before. I'm a Legal Shield rep, Kevin. I sell legal plans across the country and in Canada to bring to level the playing field for, and as a widow, this legal plan saved me over $13,000 because I had a cancer membership on Pietro, and the claim was denied. And so when I was able to pick up the phone and talk to an attorney for a subscription-based plan, and they wrote a letter for me, that brought me the financial benefit of over $13,000. So I wrapped in this self-empowerment, and I would not be walking this journey today if Pietro didn't depart. I wouldn't be out being a dating coach. I wouldn't be out because I always was home. He was off the boat from Italy, so I was always home at 5 o'clock. I was always here to support our family life, which was me and him. He had children. I don't have children. And I've launched into this dating coaching career, this empowerment coaching, in addition to my legal servicing, that I wouldn't have gone. It's adversity, Kevin, that brings people to another light bulb. It makes people think, well, wow, I've been there. I've done that. And guess what, Kevin? When I was ready to go back out dating again, I went back to my own book. I went back and read it. It was a great blueprint. Now, I wasn't looking to replace Peter, but I was looking to get out and date again. And what did that look like now? And guess what? I walked down the aisle again at 60. Love is amazing. And I want to give people permission to love. I want them to understand that if you've loved and lost, it's okay to love again. And I also want to give the message out there to women who are 35 to 75, okay, that it's never too late to find love. It just isn't. And do I talk to men? Yes, but mostly women.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that most personal aspect of your life. It's most appreciated. And one question I wanted to ask you also is, if women are looking to start over, if they've gotten divorced and they have kids, what do you tell them about the first steps to getting back into the dating game?
Well, when they come to me, the first thing I'm doing is I want to know where they've been. I want to know what their journey has been, and then I want to know what they're looking for. And getting back out there is a process. We can jump in. I always do. I jump in and then I look for the life preserver. Like nothing stops me. But what happens is, they don't have a hard time jumping in. What happens is they jump in and then they realize they don't have a life preserver, and then they get out and they don't go back. And my advice is, do the research, read the books, understand you're not alone, understand everybody, including men, are insecure when they go out there. You're a walking billboard. Does somebody like me? Do they not like me? What are the rules to dating? Is it okay for a woman to approach a man? Are you waiting for a man to approach you? What do the rules look like? And I have the answers to those questions in my book, as well as my dating workshop, because what I take as very normal, assumptive lessons that I have learned over the last 20 years, I realize most people have been focusing on their career, raising their children. They're not focusing on how to date and how to go find and meet somebody. And so I teach them how to go through the process of looking for what they're looking for. Not what I say they should want, what they're telling me they want. And dating apps are very important today. They're very safe today if you understand how to navigate them. And I learned how to navigate a dating app before I learned how to navigate Zoom, Kevin.
Priorities in life are always important, aren't they?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm also curious to know your advice to people that may have been dating for a while, and they might find someone, but it's sort of the first fish in the sea. And can you tell me about the importance of patience when dating as well?
Oh, that's good, Kevin. Have you read my book? That's really good because I actually say I hope that people who are ready to go out and date do not meet the very first date to be Mr. or Mrs. Wonderful. I always hope that there's a journey because I have learned and grown so much in the first time it was 3.5 years before I met my late husband. And I grew so much from the time that I started to date to the time I met him. I was a different person. And 1 year after he passed away and I was ready to go out dating again, I was not looking for a serious relationship. And I wasn't looking for any monogamous. I wasn't looking for one night stands, but I was looking for the company of interesting men. I smoke cigars. I enjoy having a cigar and maybe a glass of wine. I wanted to have a camaraderie and a connection and possible intimacy. Like this is important, right? So when people go out and meet and go on a first date and think they're the one, and it's easy to think that. I mean, I've been there many times. I always hope that they slow down a little bit and just really enjoy. It's like going into a candy store. Why in the world would you just pick up one candy, eat it, and think this is perfect? And not want to taste the other candies, like getting that box of chocolates, right? Why would we not want to experience? We don't know what we want. We only know what we want, Kevin, by what we discover what we don't want. That's real. So I knew the second time around, at that time, I didn't want to be in a serious relationship. My heart was still healing. I wanted to start to put my toe in the water again. And 6 months later, and I went back and read my own book because I figured it was such a good blueprint the first time. I'll try it again. I'll do it again the second time. And actually, I met my now husband 6 months after I started dating. And it was a little bit painful because I was dealing with love of two. And now I'm actually writing my next book. I've been given a message to write another book, and it's about intimacy and grieving and intimacy. And so that's a journey. So getting back to your original question, no, I really hope that people slow down and enjoy the process of dating and have fun regardless of the outcome. It's not always about the outcome.
Absolutely. And when they go on dates, what's your advice in terms of how to let the conversation flow so you don't seem overbearing, but you also get the intel that you want on the person that you're dating?
Kevin, oh my goodness. Really, tell me, did you read my book? I really want to know if you read my book. So
I did my research.
you did I know, I'm going, oh my God, Kevin, that's awesome. So here's my philosophy. And this is about men versus women. And even if a person's gay, there's still a male and a female in those relationships, right? There's that energy thing we're talking about. And as a female energy, I say to all the women energies out there, allow the man to step in and be who he is. Men are visual. It's very important that we honor that. And I always tell women, let them be visual. That's their instincts, okay? Then when you go on a date, let them talk. Let them talk. Let them express. Let them find out who they are by allowing them to be who they are. Because here's the thing. Women, I don't know what age group, I'm going to say tend to, We tend to want to meet somebody, especially if we're younger, like in our 20s and we're out of high school or college. We tend to meet somebody and then we start to think about all the things we want to change about them. Okay. And it can be something as simple as a haircut.
That's
It
why
could be something.
that's why divorce court judges are still in business right now.
Yeah, exactly. And, I've been, from the beginning of my adolescent years, my mother would always say, you're never going to change anybody. It's hard enough to change yourself. But I watched it happen. And so my advice is go on a date, let a man ask you out, not only pick from the ones who want you, who are attracted to you. And then, because not everybody's going to be attracted to this, right? I mean, somebody one time said to me, too bad your late husband's not here to see what you're doing. And I said, are you kidding me? He would have hated the red hair. My husband was off the boat from Italy. He loved Ralph Lauren and all that very, clean lines. And here I am now, bohemian, and my hair is cockeyed red. And, he would not have enjoyed that. But there are men that did, and my now husband loved that. So, you want to connect with a person who's first and foremost attracted to you, and then you want to allow them speak because you want to pick from the ones you're enjoying. You're not there to change anybody. You're not there to fix anybody, not any more than you want them to fix you. You want to love somebody and like them for who they are, right, Kevin?
Absolutely. And how important is it to you to tell the people that you work with to not compromise who they are when they date?
So extremely important. Extremely important. I've actually had women say to me, wait a minute, let me get this straight. You mean I'm supposed to tell the truth? And I'm like, yes. So when I met my late husband, we met each other networking. So we were in a different environment. So I knew him for a couple of months. I never had him on the radar for dating. I never thought of it that way. I figured we were networking. We were in Manhattan. And the first time he actually asked me out on a date, I was like Shrek. I was like, what? You mean you want to go on a date? Like, I was completely caught off guard. And on our first date, he asked me what I was looking for. I said, love and marriage. I figured, let him run. If he doesn't want love and marriage, there's the door, So you want to be upfront and truthful. Absolutely. Now, we did get married. It wasn't his original plan, but then as we fell in love, I said, is it on the table? Because I knew how important it was to me. And then my now husband, when we met, Kevin, I wasn't looking for a serious relationship. Remember, I told you I wasn't looking for marriage. And I told him I wasn't. I said, I'm dating multiple men. I'm not interested in a serious relationship. And if you'd like to join the crowd, there wasn't a big crowd, but I was not ready to put my heart in a place where it could get hurt again in that manner. And so I was honest with him. Now, as things evolved, obviously, we ended up getting married 1 year to the day that we met. But, that's because he was persistent and he treated me so good. I couldn't come up with reasons why I shouldn't, continue with him. And of course, I stopped being dating all the other ones in just a few weeks after meeting him. But I was honest, and I explained to him that I'm as honest as I can be with you right now. And I don't know if my idea about being a non-monogamous, somebody who doesn't want to be in a monogamous relationship, is a phase or if it's a long-term. And of course it was a phase, but I didn't know that at the time. And I was very honest about that. So you must stay true to yourself. If it doesn't feel right, it's not. And you can't take a chance. You can't say to yourself, well, if I, don't tell him this, he's going to leave. Or if I don't do, no, you must take. That's how you end up with an amazing relationship, by staying true to yourself and attracting the person who it is that likes you the way you are. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and when you're not working, I'm curious, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to smoke cigars. I like to write. I'm a writer. I love to ride my bike. I take my now husband and say, let's go out for a bike ride, get out of it. We were too busy sitting around. We love to do explores, like just get in the car and drive somewhere and see where it takes us. So I used to be a Girl Scout, so I used to camp all the time, but I don't like to do that anymore, Kevin. I like hotels, 5-star hotels. I'm not a big traveler, but if my husband plans it out and wants to go, I'll do it. I just don't like to plan. I'm very much a homebody, but I am a big writer. I'm always formulating, and I feel like I think I feel like I'm in a place where I just want to make a difference in somebody's life, and that just fulfills me to no end.
And if people want to connect with you or buy your book, how do they do that?
Thank you, Kevin. I'm on social media. I'm a public figure on social media. Donna Meador, Meador. You can find me on Amazon. My book, Dating It's Not Personal. People instant mess or private message me. I'm always responsive. I look for that, and I just look forward to connecting with people online so they can, I don't know, enjoy my quirky, crazy little 5-minute daily dose of Donna videos that I put on, which are very inspirational, and fun.
Fantastic. Well, I took mental notes. I will apply some of this to my own love life. But for now, I want to thank you for joining me on this show. Really enjoyed our conversation, and I want to thank you for being here this afternoon. So great to see you.
Thank you, Kevin. It's great to meet you.
Fantastic, Donna. We're done.